What's going on, you guys? So after last night's fights, it seems like they're back. It seems like they are back. Gary Russell Jr. reacts to the loss to Magsayo. Devin Haney comes out and clowns Gary Russell Jr. from losing to a bum. Hit that like button for your boys. You come on to the dojo. Please take off your shoes before you step onto the mat. Hit that like button for your boy. Early morning live stream to talk about what transpired last night. What's next for Gary Russell Jr.? Wait till some more people get in the building. Salute to everybody in the building early. Nate Black, what's going on? Jose Diaz, what's good? Nate Black says Haney should know his entire career is a clinks and a bumps. Oh yeah, we gonna definitely talk about it. Wait till some more people get in. Wait till YouTube get the notifications out, things of that nature.
Hey, you are a horrible fighter, man. You never gonna get that fight, man. You are a horrible fighter. Horrible fighter. Horrible fighter.
That's just so funny to me. Salute to Obsidian, the Lion Cold Keeper in the building. He says, good morning in Albany. Go Bushido. That's right. We about to get this party started. Wait till it's a little slow start this morning, but we're going to get this thing rolling. Had a huge stream last night. I'm assuming there's a lot of Filipino fans. Almost 1,000 people in the live last night talking about this fight with Gary Russell Jr. and Magsayo. You almost felt like Floyd Mayweather lost. We gonna talk about it because I heard some more things behind the scenes about this particular fight. Jose Diaz says, salute from the 305. Salute. He says, are we ever going to see Haney against Terrence? Terrence got more pop. Bud has more pop. You see, Haney is too small, bro. We will never see that fight. Haney is a lightweight. Terrence Crawford is a welterweight, probably going up to junior middleweight. So, yeah, Devin Haney's still a young man. He'll probably be a junior welterweight before too long. But, nah, there's no way that fight realistically could ever happen between Devin Haney and Terrence Crawford. It's too much of an age gap and, nowhere near the same weight class. But yeah, Gary Russell Jr. comes out and addresses the loss. He addresses the loss to Mark Magsayo. Let me get it on the screen for you guys. Move that out the way. Yeah, this is what Gary had to say in regards to his fight last night with Mark Magsayo. Look at Boxing Habit. Don't hear hate. He says 1L after another for you at Gary Russell Jr. And he's laughing at him. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is all that for, bro? I know Boxing Habit in real life. And like, what is this for? You know what I'm saying? Like a dude, like this is what Gary Russell Jr. had to say.
Hey, Slim, I ain't gonna hold y'all. Politics is a bad motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I beat that boy at least 10 rounds to 2, 9 to 3, man. Man, took old boy to school, man. I don't know, man. It is what it is, man. I just want to come on here and show y'all some love, man. To the real supporters. You know what I'm saying? To the real fans, man, I appreciate it. Y'all seen what it was, man. They been trying to get a nigga out the way, I guess. I don't know. But it is what it is, man. To the fans, man, I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm a true dog at the end of the day, though. I've been fucked my arm up like 2 weeks before the camp. You know what I'm saying? put the work in, still fought. And to be honest with you, I outclassed them, outschooled them, outboxed them with one motherfucking arm, man. One arm, I got a whole torn tendon in my shit, man. This shit means, man. To the fans, I appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Y'all know what time it is, man. Stay tuned, man. Stay tuned. Appreciate y'all, man.
Hopefully, you guys heard that. That's what Gary Russell Jr. had to say in regards to his loss against Mark Magsayo. That's what Gary Russell Jr. had to say, and this is what Devin Haney had to say. Salute to Baby Juju. I seen the bill. He says, Mr. Cap, a.k.a. Gary Russell Jr., lost to a bum. I mean, shit. In my opinion, Gary Russell Jr. schooled the dude, man. One arm. But I knew he wasn't going to get the benefit of the doubt. I knew he wasn't going to get a decision. It seemed like it almost felt like they was going to pull the rug right up from under Gary Russell Jr.'s feet. We seen how. Well, let me just come out and say it. I heard behind the scenes that this was lined up. Gary Russell Jr. got lined up. This is what I heard from behind the scenes. They lined him up. They want to push Magsayo as the next Pacquiao Filipino guy. They wanted Gary Russell Jr. out the way from something that he said from 2 years ago. Remember what happened with Charlo? Same thing, people. Same thing. So if you're going against the ghost, if you lean up on the ghost, and you know who I mean when I say the ghost. We got the ghost, then we got the snake. When you lean up on the ghost, shit like this happened to you. Now, one may say, why did Gary take the fight if he was injured? Shit, who knows? Maybe he needed the money. But clearly, Gary Russell Jr. scored this dude, right? And like I said last night, I actually bet on Magsayo to win because I knew something fishy was going to happen. I had a feeling that this dude was going to win a majority of the decision. And sure enough, I won. But watching the fight, I felt Gary Russell Jr. won the fight, despite him being limited with his arsenal. He fought a masterful. It was. I didn't know Gary Russell Jr. had that in him. That defense, that elusiveness. I mean, he couldn't hit Gary. That pivoting he was doing, the spinning, top notch. Not easy to do by any means. Spinning this dude. Couldn't hit Gary Russell Jr. with confetti. I mean, Mark Magsayo, he shouldn't go into the next one with so much confidence because this is a guy with one arm. Gary had one arm. One arm. And Mark Magsayo didn't do nothing. He didn't hit him in the shoulder. He didn't try to rough him up. He didn't try to move to Gary's right, which will be his left. He didn't do none of that. Gary was popping him with triple left hands, triple straight lefts. Literally, clearly had one arm throughout the fight, and dude didn't do nothing about it. But they still gave him the decision. Politics of boxing, people. Politics of boxing. Let me play the clip again what Gary Russell Jr. had to say. Let me play it again for you guys.
Yeah. Hey, Slim. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Politics is a bad motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I beat that boy at least 10 rounds to 2, 9 to 3, man. Man, took old boy to school, man. I don't know, man. It is what it is, man. I just want to come on here and show y'all some love, man. To the real supporters, you know what I'm saying? To the real fans, man. I appreciate it. Y'all seen what it was, man. They been trying to get a nigga out the way, I guess. I don't know. But it is what it is, man. To the fans, man, I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm a true dog at the end of the day, though. I've been fucked my arm up like 2 weeks before the camp. You know what I'm saying? We put the work in, still fought, and to be honest with you, I outclassed them, outschooled them, outboxed them with one motherfucking arm, man. One arm, I got a whole torn tendon in my shit, man. This shit mean, man. To the fans, I appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Y'all know what time it is, man. Stay tuned, man. Stay tuned. Appreciate y'all, man.
Yep. So that's what Gary Russell Jr. had to say, man. He said politics is a mother. You know, he said the politics had something to play, and I felt that watching the fight live. I felt that watching it live. Al Bernstein was the most. I don't even think I ever heard Al be that biased. I don't ever think I heard him. It was almost like he didn't even acknowledge Gary was a compromised fighter in the ring because he was on a tape. His job was to sway the casual public, the audience at home, into really believing that Mark Magsayo was whooping on Gary Russell Jr., and that wasn't the case. And that wasn't the case. And you can't come on here and tell me that, oh, well, you just doing that because Gary's black. No, I actually bet on Magsayo to win a majority decision. I actually bet on Mag to win the fight. But I felt Gary won the fight. The long layoff, the politics. Gary Russell Jr. is pretty outspoken. He leans on a ghost. They want to move Magsayo as the next Pacquiao. And then Devin Haney came out. Jr. lost to a bum. I'm not sure if I quite like that from Devin Haney, even though they had a little bit of back and forth in the past. Devin Haney knows what it is. He knows what it is. And now they're back. They're back. Gay weather. He was running. You know. The Pacquiao fans are now hopped on to the Magsayo bandwagon. And let's be honest, sometimes a fan base can ruin a fighter for you. It can make you dislike a fighter just because of their radical fan base. And it's already going to begin. Nah, Gary don't seem like he in bad spirits at all, Idaho's case, man. That's right, Jose Diaz. Gary fought with one arm and never gave up. He didn't look for no way out. He didn't look for no excuses. He didn't even show pain. He fought through that shit. Straight dog. I'm even more of a fan of Gary Russell Jr. now than ever before, just because he showed me something last night. Even though he didn't get the victory, that doesn't necessarily mean everything for me. He showed me a lot of character last night. A lot of guys would have tried to find a way out. He didn't look for no way out. I guess a young, hungry fighter with nothing to lose. And going into the fight, Gary probably knew he was on a take. He was on the they was lining him up. He probably knew that. He took the fight anyway. Maybe he shouldn't have took the fight, but realistically, man, Magsayo should have really dominated Gary Russell Jr., all things considering. The 2 years off, the injuries, you know. He should have dominated the guy, but he didn't. He was missing widely. You know, Gary was making him look pretty bad in the fight. And usually, you know, champions, you got to go out there and actually beat the champion, right? Usually you got to go out there and actually beat the champion. But see, when you sit there and listen to the commentary, it will lead you to believe that Magsayo was actually beating Gary Russell Jr. Not to mention, every time Magsayo threw a punch, you heard some lady in the crowd screaming. All that stuff could sway the people, sway the judges, sway people's perceptions at home. I listened to the commentary on purpose last night. Extremely biased commentary, and it is not what actually happened in the ring. Yeah, I think it's time for Gary to leave PBC, Digo. It's time for him to leave PBC. Heyman set him up. Yep. The Ghost set him up last night, man. You said, how did I score the fight? Idaho Statesman, I didn't necessarily score it. I didn't necessarily score the fight, bro. Honestly, I was just watching it, and I felt that. I think Mag did really good in the earlier rounds, but then after the fifth round, he couldn't really touch Gary Russell Jr. Once Gary Russell Jr. switched it to defense mode, once he realized he wasn't able to really use that right hand and switched to defense mode and fought that specific game plan, Magsayo really had nothing for him. He couldn't do really too much with him. He hit him with the occasional uppercut, um, occasional right hand at times, but other than that, Magsayo didn't have a jab to set up nothing. He didn't set up no traps. He did a few good pivots and stuff like that, but overall, it was obvious that Gary Russell Jr. was the more skillful fighter. He just didn't get the benefit of the doubt. They didn't give him the decision. He didn't get the champion's benefit of the doubt. But I think Gary Russell Jr., if he's going to continue boxing, it shouldn't be with PBC. Not to mention he's not necessarily signed with Al Haymon. And also he kind of bumps heads with him, so to speak, right? He comes at Tank Davis, he comes at Floyd Mayweather. He's a little bit more outspoken, unlike some of the other guys over there on PBC. And we know what happened with Charlo, Tony Harrison fight. I felt Harrison did enough to win, me personally. But when you're a champion, you got to go out there and beat the champion. And realistically, Charlo should have got that victory. But he was talking shit about the powers that be, and they put him in his place. And that's what happens. And that's what happened to Gary Russell Jr. last night. And now they're going to move Mag as the next Pacquiao. He was on a take last night. I mean, he was on the plank last night. That's what I think. Commentary helped solidify my thoughts on that. They didn't want you to believe that Gary was even in the fight. Hey, that's right. You got a lot of people said Gary was running last night. Like, what did you want him to do? He's the smaller man. He's the older man. He's the injured man. But you want him to just stand in front of this dude and just get pounded on. Okay. These are the people that we're dealing with. That's why I said they're back. They come and go every once in a while, every so often. They come and go. Oh, Brandon Moreno lost last night? Oh, wow. I was wondering what happened with that fight. Wow. I bet on Brandon Moreno to win. He lost. No wonder I didn't win nothing. And the Ngannou fight I heard was boring, but I'm surprised he won the fight. Francis Ngannou. I thought Cyril Gane was going to wash him. That dude cold, but Ngannou pulled out his Khabib wig and out grappled him into a boring decision. So he's showing different facets to his game. And Francis Ngannou. Now John Jones coming out saying stuff like, "This is the apex of the heavyweight division. Y'all be ready," or something like that. So John Jones licking his chops like Sugar Ray Leonard was licking his chops when he seen Marvin Hagler was losing the step. So that's what John Jones been doing. So now John Jones likely will come back soon to try to hop on the Ngannou because he see holes that he feel he could exploit. Yeah, he was probably boring last night to a casual fan because they expect knockouts from him. And the Ngannou fights never go to decision. But he had to do something else against a better striker. Cyril Gane could bang. Them French dudes, they be having some good ass Muay Thai skills. They be cold. Yep. But with Gary Russell Jr., I don't know if he's going to ever get a shot again. I think if anybody's willing to work with him, somebody like Eddie Hearn, I think he should go over there and fight under Matchroom. Make some money, go beat up on some dudes, and kind of try to get back what he lost, which was time. The most important thing for a man is time and money. And Gary Russell Jr. wasted a lot of it by him not being able to get the fights he needed. Where was the promotion for Gary? A proud black athlete. Don't be showing his ass or nothing. What was the promotion for Gary Russell Jr., the longest reigning champion in boxing prior to him losing to Mag last night? There was none. Right? He identifies with the culture, all that. Nah, they don't promote Gary Russell Jr. That's right, the fool. I see you. What's going on, man? It says PBC and Heyman looking to shift away from these one fights per year fighters. They're bleeding money. Thurman's next on the chop block. Yeah. Don't be surprised if Barrios gets some magical upset victory, man. They trying to cut out all these high paid guys, dude. They're resetting the pay scale. Nah, nobody was a bum last night, Mini Mike. I don't really like that, because Magsayo is a young fighter. He don't got the experience that Gary Russell Jr. has, and I didn't necessarily watching the fight. He's a young fighter, and Gary Russell Jr. is very skillful, and Mag didn't necessarily look impressive. He didn't necessarily look great. Gary Russell Jr. made it really hard for that kid to look good against him. So we go see what Mag can do from this. Is he gonna level up and get better? Because in my opinion, he lost the fight. But he did outwork Gary, but that's because Gary only had one arm. He literally only had one arm. He was limited to one punch, and that was a straight left. He couldn't throw no looping lefts. Gary don't throw looping lefts. He don't throw overhand lefts and wide punches. He keep it tight. Didn't give him the benefit of the doubt. He did not get the champion's benefit of the doubt. So you knew he was on a take. Hit that like button for your boy. This is what I be saying about the Ghost and PBC, man. This is what I be saying. Like, it's not what people think. It's not what people think over there, man. It's not. Not at all. Gary Russell Jr. should have been more active as a champion. He should have been more active as a champion. He should have been able to get the Leo Santa Cruz fight years ago. He's not able to get it. Guess what? Leo Santa Cruz' son, what's his name? Al, middle name, or his name is Al. Al, he named his son after Al Heyman. Yeah, I'm not really co-signing what Gary. I mean, not Gary, but what Devin is saying. Clowning Gary, saying he lost to a bum. I don't think Mag was a bum, and Gary Russell Jr. fought a hell of a fight, all things considering. Haven't fought in 2 years. Pretty much trained himself. His dad's sick. Didn't show no signs of fatigue in the fight. He fought the full fight. However, the best way he could without laying down for this dude. Yeah, Gary tough. Let me see something. Yeah, it seemed like they was glad Gary lost last night. They was glad Gary lost last night. Whoa! Hold up. Let me. What the hell did I just see on here? Fuck this face up. All right, hold up. Yeah, Devin didn't come out on his IG and say nothing. Yeah, Devin Haney came out and said you lost to a bum. You see it right here on the screen. Mr. Cap, aka Gary Russell Jr., lost to a bum, and he laughing. You know what I'm saying? Boxer fans coming for Gary Russell Jr. too. He didn't even do nothing. He didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing for fans to be coming at him like they coming at him. Fans should be like, yeah, man, he fought his ass off. He was obviously hurt. Nah, they ain't gonna do none of that. They gonna call him a runner and all this other shit. That's what they gonna do. They're not gonna give him credit or nothing like that. They was so glad he lost last night. Even the powers that be under the banner that he's fighting under was glad he lost. Yep. So yeah. You said what should be next for Gary? I don't know, man. I think he should, if possible. Now he did. I think Gary made a mistake when Eddie Hearn was offering him $1 million to go over there and fight Warrington. I think I think Gary should have did that. I really think he should have did it just to stay active and go over there and get some international exposure and build a bridge with Eddie Hearn because Eddie Hearn got a lot of the little guys over there. And Eddie Hearn pays pretty good. He takes care of his guys, so I think that should be the move for Gary if he wants to continue. It seemed like going into the fight, he was really, really trying to push his brothers because he knows he's possibly the end of the road for him coming soon. So he's really pushing his brothers. Gary Antoine Russell was cold. I think he's gonna be able to do something as long as he gets the opportunities. He's supposed to be fighting Victor Postal, so that should be pretty interesting. Gary Antoine Russell. He said Devin's inner Ryan came out on him. Yeah, he did. He did. Dev's inner Ryan came out last night. Yep, Devin Haney's inner Ryan came out last night. Hit that like button for your boy. We got 40 people in the building. Early morning live stream. The night after the fight, Mark Magsayo upsets Gary Russell Jr. Devin Haney comes out and trolls Gary Russell Jr. What's going on, Jason Williams? I see you in the building. Y'all hit that like button for your boy. What's going on, D-Lo 404 Boxing? Ronnie Boy Fresh, what's good? Yep. I agree. Illustrious Minds. He says, I was rooting for my guy Gary. They may try to X him out now, which is sad. Happy for Magsayo, but give Gary that rematch. Facts, bro. I agree. Gary Russell Jr., he deserves a rematch. He was the longest reigning champion. He had a lot of, he's coming off a layoff, man. And realistically, he deserves a rematch. And it should have been one in the contract. I'm not sure how that worked. I'm not sure if he has a rematch clause or anything like that. It should have been one. If there isn't, But I don't think if there isn't, then they're not going to give Gary a rematch. Gary will beat him when he had two. A healthy Gary Russell Jr. beats him easy. A healthy Gary beats him easy. Also, you guys, I'm coming soon. I'm gonna have it set up to where you guys can call in when we have certain discussions. I'm gonna have it set up to where you guys can call in the number and get your thoughts on these particular topics. So we're gonna continue to evolve the channel as we move forward. Almost 10,000 subs, and yeah, man, we rolling right to the top. Rolling right to the top. He said Lion Ryan, yeah. Oh, yeah. Leo versus Mark. Yep. Leo go beat he should beat the Carbonell guy, whoever he's fighting. Then they go put Leo and Mark on pay-per-view. That's what they go do. Yep. I can see that, Ronnie. Yeah, that's what I'm saying to Idaho Skatesman. That's sad, bro. because we know what comes with this with Mark, and it's not Mark Magsayo fault, but yeah, his fans, his people, they're pretty radical. There's no objectivity. You can't really talk boxing with these guys. You know what I'm saying? They're irrational and everything else. So they're back, and they're gonna be back in full force because this kid Magsayo is synonymous with Pacquiao. He's the next Pacquiao, and that's what they're gonna try to push him as. And if he don't have a rematch clause in this thing with Gary Russell Jr., they're gonna move him on to the next guy and slowly start to build him up because realistically, he got schooled. Take away the politics and the judging and all that. He got schooled against a guy with one arm. But they're gonna move him as the next Pacquiao. This is what PBC wanted. They wanted Gary Russell Jr. out the way. That's what I think. Commentary was criminally biased last night. Criminally biased. Hit that like button for your boy. Hey, we could do that, Idaho Skatesman, because the fights are starting to pick up. You know, the fights are starting to pick up and stuff. So I'm gonna have it set up to where you guys can actually call in and give your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd be cool for the channel versus putting these StreamYard links. I just have a little number. And if you want to call in and give your thoughts on whatever we talking about, that's what we gonna start doing. From here on out. He says Gary is the reason Loma's a big deal. Yep. Steve Farhood showed his ass. Yeah, he did, man. I'm telling you, bro. They was all on the take, man. Straight up, they was on the take. Al Bernstein was so biased last night. Yeah, they do act like maniacs with Mags and Casamario, Drizzy. They do. They're going to be maniacs with those two dudes. And to be honest with you, both of those guys looked at like shit against Rigondeaux and Gary Russell Jr. An old Rigondeaux made Casamario look pretty bad for the most part. Right? A compromised, injured, rusty, 2-year layoff, old little Gary Russell Jr. made Magsayo look bad last night. He did. It's no hate. I bet on Mag to win a majority decision. He won. Because I knew the politics had a lot to do with this. I went with my brain, not my heart. Yep, that's what it is, Mini Mike. Damian Wester says, CJ Goodfellas said the commentary is biased as well. I really didn't hit. CJ was right. CJ was right. They was biased as hell, bro. They was extremely biased. Al Bernstein it's almost like he had a personal grudge against Gary Russell Jr. Gary, go back and watch that fight. He go say the same thing. Hey, Green Line D-Lo. Y'all go subscribe to D-Lo 44 Boxing. He says Gary never got his credit, but watch they start talking pound for Mag. Yeah. Gary never got his credit as a champion and as a fighter. But they go use whatever clout he had as a champion to really, really catapult this guy to pound for pound status soon. He said Gary is a hard guy to like. Why is Gary a hard guy to like? Why is Gary a hard guy to like? He don't be acting a fool. You know what I'm saying? He did a few things in the past to try to really goad dudes into fighting them. But Gary isn't a guy that's out here showing his ass and shit. So, I mean, I think people are just intimidated by proud black men, proud black athletes. It seems like guys, and there's no offense. Like, I know people get offended when we talk race, but I feel that these dudes be intimidated by proud black men. Gary Russell Jr. is a proud black guy. And I think a lot of people just be intimidated by that shit. So they want to say, oh, well, you know, I don't really like him. Why? Why? He showed Magsayo a lot of respect going into this fight. Why? Because nobody else wants to fight him. So he showed nothing but love to Magsayo. But nah, they go say Gary Russell Jr. is Gayweather Jr. and running and all this other shit. That's what they go do. He talks too much. What you mean? What you mean he talks too much? He got to sell himself somehow. Nobody out here promoting Gary Russell Jr. Nobody out here promoting Gary Russell Jr. What you mean he talked too much? I think a lot of the Bud fans are still mad at Gary for him pressing Crawford. And y'all know Bud is my guy. That's Kumite. But Gary Russell Jr., I understood what he was doing at that time. He had to do what he had to do to get he had to get his name out there. And if it takes me getting in there with Terrence Crawford or calling out the dude that they see as the baddest dude, then I have to do that. You know, a lot of people still pretty upset about that, how Gary put out the little thing with him and the amateurs with Crawford. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking that personal, you know what I'm saying? You know, it is what it is. But I see the bigger picture here, man. These dudes are gonna be coming. Salute to Damian Wester for the super chat. He says, I've seen American YouTubers going for the non-blacks and are not American us fighters or U.S. fighters. Why? I don't understand a man that was born. I don't know, man. That's just how it is here, man. You know, I'm really not surprised. That's just how it is here, man. And it's unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? It's really unfortunate. Like you would have thought that Gary Russell Jr. was a Mayweather Jr. the way Mayweather Jr. the way they was trying to come at him last night. They were so glad he lost. I never you barely see this guy. Why y'all so happy he lost? Shit crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, D-Lo. Thank you for the super chat, bro. But yeah, D-Lo. He says, folks always say these fighters need to talk more. Then when they talk, they want them to hurry up and shut up. Yeah, exactly. Like, so which is it? Which is it? Because closed mouths don't get fed in boxing, especially if you're a guy like Gary Russell Jr., a guy that can barely get fights. You got to come out and say something. And a lot of people probably don't even know that Gary Russell Jr. wasn't even all in with PBC like that, though. He's the rebel over there. He says Gary needs to go get that work from Bud. Gary don't need to do that. That was a clout chase. At that time, it was really popular for these guys to attach their name to Terrence Crawford. It's popular to do. They try to downplay Crawford, but at the same time, a lot of these guys try to attach their name to him too, because they ain't got no juice or no momentum, and people ain't talking about them. Everybody talking about Bud and shit, so they attach their name to Bud. That's all that was for Gary. Gary realistically wouldn't be able to go up there and fight Crawford. That would have been a massacre. But he fought his ass off against Mags last night. He really did. Like, I honestly was expecting more from Mags, considering Gary Russell Jr. was compromised. I was expecting more from Magsayo to see what he could really do against a guy like Gary Russell Jr. He didn't impress last night. And it's no hate. It's no hate. I just wasn't thoroughly impressed. I felt that, like, look, he's a smaller guy. He had one arm. And you show no ability to adapt. You show no real ring generalship. You show no real ring IQ. You didn't show no good jab. You didn't set up no traps. You did a few good things here and there, but realistically, you could hit Gary Russell Jr. with confetti. Realistically. Yeah, he may have outworked Gary. Why? Because he had two arms to do a lot more work. But see, Gary wasn't gonna get no benefit of the doubt, man, because they was lining him up. This is why I don't get too caught up into the PBC for black fighters and all that stuff. Nah, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I really don't believe that. I never believed it. Nope. Don't believe it. Because they're gonna be pushing Magsayo like he's Pacquiao Jr. Then push Gary at all over there. Nobody. You said Gary. You said Gary doesn't win. What you mean? Gary always wins. I think Gary needs to go to Eddie Hearn, D-Lo. Honestly, man. Go to Eddie Hearn. See if Eddie Hearn still offer you, $1 million to go over there and, whoop on some dudes. Don't stop. Don't give up. Use whatever time and momentum you got left to go into 2022. At least get 2 more fights. Swallow your pride and humble yourself and go to Eddie Hearn, bro. He got all the fighters for you to beat up on anyway. It's looking like AB may be fighting. I've been seeing a lot more AB Conor Ben stuff. AB may be looking to go over there with Eddie Hearn and give it all to Conor Ben. Conor Ben is going to be really, really tough for Adrian Broner if that fight happens. I don't know if I really like that for AB. It leads me to believe that AB's ready to cash out. Conor Ben is looking really ferocious, and they're going to use him to build. They'll use Broner to build Conor Ben's name. So Eddie Hearn gonna give AB a lot of money to come over there. He probably do the same for Gary Russell Jr. too. But Gary Russell Jr., however, doesn't have a name like AB does. Gary had 6 fights in 7 years. That's terrible. Terrible. Damian Waters says Gary asked Bud ain't. Yeah, Gary Russell Jr. be hating on Bud. He be hating on Bud like a motherfucker. But that's not gonna sway the way I feel up. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look. They said Kumite Crawford, that's my guy. That's their beef. You know what I'm saying? I think Gary Russell Jr. is a dog and he's a hell of a fighter. And it seemed like a solid dude, despite their beef. You said, so do I think Gary won a fight? Yeah, I think Gary won a fight. Yeah, I think Gary won a fight. I do. And I bet on Mag. I did. I literally bet on Mag. And yeah, I got that right. But watching it, I felt that Gary was winning because Mark Magsayo couldn't really do nothing with him. Yeah, he was the busier guy, but he wasn't landing nothing. He wasn't landing nothing. Yeah, Damone Daniels. Yeah, he should have postponed the fight. He should have postponed the fight. Definitely should have postponed it. Definitely should have postponed the fight. Yeah, ain't it? He don't never really look rusty. Why? Because he stays in the gym. But he had injuries. You know what I'm saying? Easily, J8. Easily. Gary would have easily won that fight last night if he had 2 arms, dude. Easy. That would have been. He would have beat the shit out of Mags last night. And you know what, Damone Daniels? I'm not sure if he had a rematch clause or not. I would assume by it being a mandatory fight And by Gary being a champion, he had an automatic rematch clause. But I'm not sure, man. WBC like to do what they want to do. You know, Mauricio Suleiman already came out congratulating Mags and shit. It was all, you know what I'm saying? Like it was almost like they was, like they wanted, dude to win. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it felt like. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it felt like. Gary said it was just politics that beat him. I don't know if you guys seen the clip earlier that I played, but he said really it was politics, man. Politics beat him. And I'm like I said, I heard behind the scenes that that the ghost lined him up, man. That's what I'm hearing. That the ghost lined him up. That the ghost lined him up. That's what I'm hearing from behind the scenes on some real shit. Like he got lined up by the ghost.
The bad motherfucker. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Politics is a bad motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I beat that boy at least 10 rounds to 2, 9 to 3, man. Man, took old boy to school, man. I don't know, man. It is what it is, man. I just want to come on here and show y'all some love, man. To the real supporters, you know what I'm saying? To the real fans, man. I appreciate it. Y'all seen what it was, man. They been trying to get a nigga out the way, I guess. I don't know. But it is what it is, man. To the fans, man, I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm a true dog at the end of the day, though. I've been fucking my arm up like 2 weeks before the camp. You know what I'm saying? We put the work in, still fought, and to be honest with you, I outclassed them, outschooled them, outboxed them with one motherfucking arm, man. One arm, I got a whole torn tendon in my shit, man. This shit mean, man. To the fans, I appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Y'all know what time it is, man. Stay tuned, man. Stay tuned. Appreciate y'all, man.
Yep. So that's what Mr. Gary Russell Jr. had to say for those who missed it. Right after the loss to Mark Magsayo last night. Literally, like right after the fight, he came out with this video, probably about almost an hour later last night. So he's not in bad spirits or anything. It's almost like he expected this to be a possible outcome. Gary may have should have just postponed the fight. Oh, Hilo 44 says Ray Vargas was his mandatory, but they changed to Magsayo because they felt Vargas was going to be at a disadvantage versus Gary. Yeah, man, come on, man. It's politics, man. Oh, wow. He says Gary Russell Jr. losing is good for boxing. He didn't fight anybody and hardly fought in the ring. Wow. That's bad. That's bad. If you follow boxing, you know Gary Russell Jr. has been a fighter that's been criminally avoided. So instead of attacking or getting the guys that's ducking Gary Russell Jr., you go ahead and hit Gary Russell Jr. on top of his head and kick him while he's down. That's the type of people we deal with in this boxing shit, man. Yeah, Damon Daniels says Gary got outworked, but I still think he won. But Gary allowed the refs to give the belt away because of an injury or whatever. Yeah, he did get outworked, but he only had one arm. Shit, I mean, it was totally obvious he had one arm, bro. Dude couldn't do nothing with this guy. He couldn't do nothing with Gary. Gary should have, by all rights, Gary should have been getting manhandled in that ring last night. After the 5th round, Gary should have been getting manhandled. He should have been getting rocked and dropped, stopped. Nothing of the sort. Dude couldn't do nothing with him. So I'm really more impressed with Gary Russell Jr. in a loss than I am with Magsayo in winning. And there's no slight towards Mags. Yeah, ain't it? He was looking incredible with one arm. You know what I'm saying? So imagine if he had 2 arms. Hey, Pacquiao was, of course, he was allowed his arm and shoulder excuse. But they're not gonna allow Gary to have that excuse. There's gonna be no excuses. Just move on. Get over it. That's what they gonna say, man. He says, now let's see if they feed him to fighters. Bet you not, because they're gonna get back to the top, in my opinion, no time. Yeah, they go. It's hard to say what they're gonna do with Gary Russell Jr. Because let's be honest, a lot of people with a boxing brain, a lot of professionals probably saw that fight, looked at it as like, yeah, Gary really schooled the shit out of this dude with one arm. He's still a fucking problem. So imagine if he had two arms. D'Lo 44 says, if you keep a fighter inactive for 2 years and he has been heavily avoided, he is unlikely to pull out of a fight with an injury 2 weeks out. Facts, bro. Because he probably looking to get that payday. You know, he probably had to kind of take that fight. Damone Dane says, I'm a Gary Russell Jr. fan, but when you step in the ring, no excuses. Yeah. Man, I'm not looking for no excuses for Gary. You know, he lost the fight. You know what I'm saying? But I think that, I mean, he lost the fight on paper, but for me, I felt that he won that fight. With one arm. Mark Magsayo couldn't do nothing with a handicapped fighter, man. That fight should have been a lot more one-sided. Actually, it shouldn't even been a majority decision, right? If Magsayo whooped on him like these people say, then why was it a majority decision against a one-armed guy? Actually, Damone Daniels behind the scenes about that Gary missing weight thing, the scale was messed up. It came out that the scale was off by 0.5. So Gary didn't miss weight. It was just a scale issue. I seen the interview. It was just a scale issue. Gary Russell Jr. is a disciplined guy, man. Despite him being inactive in boxing in the ring, he's a very disciplined dude. He's always in the gym all the time, preparing his brothers and stuff like that. Hey, we got Gary Antoine Russell, Gerald Fields, and he's gonna be fighting Victor Postal soon. Gary Antoine Russell is a beast. I think pretty highly of him. I think he cold with it. He's a perfect blend of everything: speed, power, technique. Dog. He seems like he got a mean streak to him. He's gonna come for you. Yeah, Gary Antoine Russell. Hopefully, his career plays out better than his big brothers. Because the Russell family thing is, I want my younger brother to do better than me. So each of the brothers want their younger brother to be better and do better than them. But they want to be better than their older brothers. Oh, you say you lost respect for Gary when he did the cloud chase on Crawford? No, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's their beef. You know what I'm saying? That's their beef. I understood what Gary was doing at that time. He was just trying to keep his name relevant in these streets. You know what I'm saying? It was pretty distasteful what he was doing. But, I mean, he had to do what he had to do, man. He says Gary is on my Kumite list. Yeah, man, he's a dog, man. He's a dog, bro. He's a real dog. He just ain't talking when he say he a dog. He a real dog. He didn't look for a way out. He didn't show no pain, no fear, no nothing. He fought the only fight that he could. He fought it very well. He just didn't get the decision. Lions True says, I had 7-5 for Gary or draw at the worst. It's just that things G could have did make the fight easier, like varying up how he threw the left hand with uppercuts, looping hooks. Yeah, I know, right? He could have varied up the left, but he just didn't, you know. Maybe he didn't see it, you know. Maybe he didn't just see those type of punches that he could throw. So he just threw whatever he could throw. Because sometimes you have to set up some of those shots with your other hand. So Mark Magsayo could have did a lot better in that fight. He could have did better. He could have been hitting Gary in the shoulder, hitting him in the chest, really roughing him up, walking him down. Even though he was getting spun, he could have really made it easier for. He could have just he got schooled last night, despite him getting a victory. Yeah, ain't it, Mike? Who ain't cloud chasing today, man? That's just what it is today. I got kind of used to it now. I mean, some dudes, you know, they got to do what they got to do to kind of get their names out there because they don't have the big promotion behind them. They don't have the big push. They don't may not have the big fan base, so they kind of attach their name to somebody else for clout. And that's just kind of way this is the clout trout era. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, Damone Daniels. He says also fathers didn't work with him for this fight. Seems like Gary was fighting an uphill battle. A lot of out of ring issues too. It's all factors in the outcome of a fight. Facts. Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said before, it's more than just getting in the ring and doing what you do. A lot of things outside the ring matter as well. Your preparation, distractions, just like real life shit. Real life shit. But Gary still performed very well, in my opinion, all things considering. For me, his stock didn't drop at all. For me, his stock didn't drop at all. I knew politics was going to possibly come into play with this fight because they're looking for the next Manny Pacquiao. Yeah, that's right, D-Lo 404. There's a difference between excuses and reasons or circumstances. Facts. A lot of people don't like to distinguish the differences, but there are differences. There are differences. There are differences. Yeah, you can, Drizzy. You can find more highlights from Gary than Mags. Yeah, because Mags he didn't really do nothing. Like I don't remember anything he did significant other than him landing an occasional uppercut. When Gary will duck and kind of spin out, he'll land that little uppercut he was throwing. But other than that, I didn't see anything that really impressed me or wowed me from Mark last night. It just really didn't. Gary made it really rough for him. But all he had to do was really just be in the fight. All he had to do was just be in a fight. Oh yeah, Gary definitely needs to fight again. It definitely don't need to be with PBC. It definitely don't need to be with PBC. It needs to be with somebody else. It really don't matter who. I think a healthy Gary Russell Jr. still whoops a lot of guys out there. But he needs to make sure he fights again this year. He don't need to sit out more. If he sits out again, it's pretty much over for him. And then if he does come back, they go just use him as a stepping stone or a former champion for a young fighter to beat up on, a gatekeeper. They go automatically put him in a gatekeeper status. So Gary needs to really get back in the mix immediately. Some way, somehow. It's going to be hard for him. He don't got that big following. He don't have the big money behind him. He don't got none of that. He don't got none of that going for him. Keith Williams says Gary won, period. But is there not a little bit of karma here? Gary did dog tank in his close fight. Oh, yeah. Oh, you did. You're right. You're right. See? I forgot all about that. He did dog tank against Cruz, didn't he? Damn, this is karma. I forgot all about that. Yeah, he did. He did. This is karma. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, damn. This is kind of karma for him. Yeah. And guess what? Did Tank come out and bash Gary at all? No, he didn't. I didn't see it. I didn't see it at all. Devin Haney came out and bashed him. Devin Haney for sure did. Damone Daniels says YSM said Gary isn't with people. Said he managed by Al Heyman. Can you clarify? Yeah, I guess Gary isn't with PBC. I'm not sure. It's confusing to me too. But he's not necessarily with PBC, but he fights for Showtime. I'm not sure, bro. It's really confusing. Is he a Heyman fighter or is he not? You know what I'm saying? Because if he's not, he should have been somewhere else fighting. He should have been somewhere else fighting. Because he wasted a lot of time over there. A lot of inactivity. And the best way to kill a fighter is inactivity. 'Cause even though he didn't necessarily look rusty, he was just inactive. He had no momentum. He had no he had no momentum going into the fight. Hold up, that's the new banner. Um yeah, he had no momentum going into the fight, man. But it is what it is. We gonna see what happens for Gary. We gonna see what he does next. We gonna see if he even has a rematch clause. I think he should have had one. But he probably likely don't got one. It seems like the politics of boxing like to do what it wants to do when it wants to do it. You never really know um, what these sanction bodies are gonna do. You just never know. We gonna see if Gary has a rematch clause. I'm not sure if somebody knows if there's a rematch clause for Gary, considering this is a mandatory type fight. I'm hearing that I think I remember hearing that the mandatory guys it's automatic rematch clause. So somebody just clarify that for me in the comment section. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, will Gary get another world title opportunity? Who knows? I think his best shot to get another world title is the same one he just had in a rematch clause type of deal. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see guys lining up to fight Gary Russell Jr. even now. You says mandatories doesn't hold a rematch clause. They don't? Alex Neves says, even if you have a belt, you can still end up again. Yeah, man, ain't it? Oh, it says no rematch on mandatory fights, only voluntary. Oh shit. Okay. So only voluntaries is the rematch clauses. Mandatories, there's no rematch clauses. So Gary Russell Jr. likely is assed out in the sport of boxing. He's likely assed out in the sport of boxing. Riggindowed. He said Gary is a good actor. He says Gary is a good actor. He sold everyone in third round. I knew something wasn't right inside his locker room when I was looking at his brothers. They looked so they did. You could see it, bro. You could see it all in their face. You knew something was up. Man. Okay, so Lions Truth says based on their Russell's interviews at the fight, they don't have a rematch clause. Damn. Alex Neves says, because these belts mean nothing really. We all know who are the top of the top fighters, and they need to fight each other, see who's who. Yeah, facts. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. We need to see who's the best. By all rights, Gary Russell Jr. should have been in some unification fights over the years, right? He's been the longest reigning featherweight champion, longest reigning champion in boxing. It should have been somebody you looking to unify with Gary Russell Jr. But guess what? Nobody was looking to unify with him. Nobody was looking to unify with Gary. So even when you're a champion in the sport of boxing, man, it just don't matter. These dudes will look right past you like you ain't nothing. You the champion. They looking. Come on, man. They'll maneuver right through you. They'll maneuver right around you instead of going through you. They'll go right around you if you too good for your own good. Gary Russell Jr. is simply just one of those dudes. And we saw it last night with one arm. Salute to my boy YSM Sports Media in the building. Y'all go subscribe to my man's YSM Sports Media. He said the shoulder was hurt before the fight. Yeah, clearly. He probably really injured it in the fight. He said a torn tendon or something too. That's what he said the extent of his injury is, a torn tendon. He had one arm, man. It was obvious, man. I can't keep beating on that horse. We saw the fight. We saw what happened. Gary Russell Jr. was a compromised fighter in the ring. And I felt that he should get credit just from, putting up that type of performance all things considering. But guess what? They're not gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. They're gonna say he's Gayweather Jr. He was running. Aha, that's what he get. He talks too much and all this other stupid shit. Instead of giving him his credit as a warrior and as a dog in the sport of boxing. Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.